Okay, here's a question to kick things off. What makes a popular singer just quit right at the peak of their career?
Yeah, I mean, you hear about burnout, creative differences, sure, but this story, it's something else entirely.
It really is. Today, we're doing a deep dive into a story that answers that question in a way you probably won't expect. It's quite unsettling, actually.
We're talking about Nora, who was a huge wedding singer in Kuwait back in the 90s. Now, maybe the name isn't familiar to everyone listening, but in the Arab world, her story is pretty well known. It takes this sharp turn, into the seriously strange.
It all starts with a wedding gig, which sounds normal enough.
Exactly. So picture Kuwait, the 1990s. Wedding singers there were massive, big stars.
Right, part of the whole cultural fabric.
Totally. And Nora was top tier, really sought after. But then 1997, things changed drastically. She gets this call, an offer to sing at a daughter's wedding. And the money they offered was, well, let's just say it was extremely generous.
Like unusually generous.
Way more than standard rates, according to the source. An offer that seemed amazing, but let's just say it came with strings attached they couldn't have imagined.
So Nora and her band, it was a six-woman band, right?
That's right. 6 women. They head out to this location. What was it like when they arrived? Did anything seem off immediately?
Well, no, not at first glance. The source describes this really well-lit villa. It looked quite fancy.
Okay.
Lots of cars parked outside, people everywhere. Looked like a typical, maybe even high-end wedding celebration.
So standard stuff. No red flags initially.
None at all. They were shown to a room to get set up, get ready. Again, totally normal procedure.
Right.
But things started getting weird once they actually began performing.
Okay, so what were the first, subtle signs, the little things that maybe made them pause?
Almost right away, the room just kept filling up. It got incredibly crowded, packed.
Maybe just a popular wedding.
Maybe, but then women started coming up to the stage, kissing the performers, which apparently is a customary sign of appreciation.
Okay, that part's normal.
But here's the thing. The source mentions their skin felt off, unusually rough, and they felt really hot, like high body temperature.
Ooh. Okay. That is strange. Did that immediately freak them out?
Not quite panic stations yet. It seems it was more like a background feeling. It wasn't until later, maybe around midnight during a break, that one of the band members actually spoke up, said she felt uneasy, specifically mentioning that weird rough skin and the heat.
So someone voiced the weirdness. How did Nora react?
Well, Nora, probably trying to keep everyone professional and, prevent a panic.
Sure.
She tried to brush it off, suggested maybe the room was just really hot and stuffy from all the dancing and the crowd.
A logical explanation. You'd try to rationalize it, wouldn't you?
Absolutely. You're there to do a job.
Yeah.
But the strangeness definitely escalated when they went back on stage.
How so? What happened next?
The guests' behavior changed. They're dancing. The source describes it as becoming hysterical, frantic even.
Not joyful wedding dancing, then.
Apparently not. It lacked that celebratory feel. And then came the really unsettling observation.
Oh.
Several band members noticed the feet of the dancing women.
Their feet. What about them?
They didn't look human. Whoa, okay,
Right.
That's specific and terrifying.
Yeah. And that's when the unease tipped over into proper fear. Real panic starting to spread through the band.
I can only imagine. How did that affect their music, their performance?
Understandably, it started falling apart a bit. Their playing got shaky, voices probably trembling. You could feel the fear, apparently.
And Nora, what was she doing?
Nora was really trying to be the anchor, making eye contact with her bandmates, trying to project calm, just keep singing through it, holding it together.
Wow, that takes serious nerve.
It does, but then the tension snapped for one of them. One of the band members just fainted, collapsed right there.
Oh, my God. What did the guests do? Did they react?
Well, yeah. One of the women, one of the attendees, came up to Nora, asked a pretty simple question on the surface.
Which was,
what's wrong with her? Why does she faint? But, given everything else, that question probably felt heavy. Menacing, maybe.
yeah, definitely loaded. How did Nora handle that?
Quick thinking again. She apparently said something like, oh, her bandmate was just exhausted. They'd played so many gigs recently. She just needed air and water.
A plausible cover story.
Right. But then, in private, when the fainted member came to, she revealed the real reason for her collapse.
What did she say?
She was panicked. Whispered to Nora something like, I don't want to be here. We have to leave. Nora, these people aren't human.
There it is, the fear spoken out loud.
Exactly. The moment of confirmation. And Nora's response is crucial here. What did she say back?
She didn't dismiss it. She actually confirmed their fears. According to the source, she said, "We are at a Jinn's wedding."
Wow. She knew, or she believed she knew.
Yes. And she added, "We can't leave now. They could harm us. We have to be patient and stay until Fajr."
Fajr, the dawn prayer. Why was that significant?
Well, in Islamic belief, Jinn are these spiritual beings, sometimes seen as interacting with our world. There are beliefs about times when they are more active or when humans might be more vulnerable, often during the night. Dawn, Fajr, is often seen as a sort of protective boundary.
Okay, so it's tied into specific cultural and religious beliefs about Jinn. Fascinating.
Right, so they had to keep playing, knowing what they were playing for. Terrifying.
Absolutely horrifying. Did anything change as dawn got closer?
Yes. The source says, as Fajr approached, the crowd started to thin out. That frantic energy, the hysterical dancing, it began to subside.
Like the power was fading with the darkness.
Something like that. It seemed like they were almost through it. But then another twist.
Oh, no. What now?
Suddenly blackout, all the lights in the villa just went out. Complete and utter darkness.
Jeez, after everything else.
Exactly. The band members screamed, totally terrified. And what did Nora do?
She started reciting verses from the Quran, trying to find strength, maybe protection in prayer. And then she took charge again, told them basically, okay, if we want to survive this, we need to pull ourselves together and get out of here now. Real leadership in crisis.
Incredible composure. Did they manage to get out?
They did. They fled the villa into the pre-dawn light, and as they were escaping, they ran into someone.
Woo, another guess.
No, an old man, just a local guy heading to the mosque for Fajr prayers.
Were they suspicious of him after their experience?
The source says they were, initially, but he was just a regular person. And he seemed surprised to see them, a group of women looking disheveled at that hour near that particular place.
So what did Nora tell him?
She explained they just finished performing at a wedding back there at the villa.
And his reaction?
This is the chilling part. He just looked confused and asked, "What villa?"
Meaning,
when Nora and the band turned to look back, the brightly lit, bustling villa they had just run from, it wasn't there.
Gone.
And its place was just an old, run-down, clearly abandoned house. No lights, no cars, nothing.
No.
And the old man confirmed it. Said that house had been derelict for over 10 years. Locals avoided it, apparently, because they heard strange noises coming from it.
So it was never a wedding villa?
Never. That's when it fully hit them, the source says. They had been playing for Jinn the entire night.
I don't even know what to say. The psychological shock must have been immense.
Unimaginable. And what was the immediate consequence for Nora? Professionally.
That was it. The source is clear. From that moment on, she quit singing. Permanently.
Just like that. No phasing out, no final tour.
Nope. An abrupt, absolute stop to her entire career, which really speaks volumes about how deeply terrifying that experience must have been.
Did she ever talk about it publicly? Explain why she suddenly vanished from the scene.
The source mentions she actually gave an interview, shared this whole story as her reason for retiring.
Okay, so there was a record.
Well, here's another layer of weirdness. Apparently, the video cassette of that interview disappeared. Mysteriously vanished.
Seriously?
Yeah.
The tape just went missing.
That's what the source claims. Almost like the story itself was trying to be erased or contained.
That adds a whole other level of intrigue, doesn't it? But the story obviously survived. How?
It seems it was kept alive, passed on, by two people very close to Nora, family members and close friends. They shared it, confirming her account.
So it persisted through word of mouth, through those who knew her best.
Exactly. And the source material kind of wraps this up by connecting it back to wider beliefs.
Right, you mentioned the Jinn aspect earlier.
Yeah. The source points out the importance within Islam for people to take steps, spiritual precautions to protect themselves from Jinn and things like black magic.
So, framing Nora's experience within that context of unseen forces and the need for spiritual awareness or defense.
Pretty much. It brings us right back to that initial question, doesn't it? Why walk away from fame?
And Nora's story gives one possible answer. A deeply unsettling, truly extraordinary answer that involves stepping outside our normal reality.
Absolutely. This dive into the source really uncovers something that challenges everyday assumptions. It hints at things beyond our usual perception.
It definitely makes you think about cultural narratives, belief systems, and maybe the limits of what we think we know about the world. How different cultures interpret experiences that defy easy explanation.
Yeah. And it leaves us with that final thought from the source, the idea of seeking protection from the unseen, from Jinn.
Mm-hmm.
What forms does that protection take? And what does that whole concept suggest about how humans relate to the unknown, the mysterious parts of existence?
Definitely something to ponder. The story that lingers, for sure.